Good afternoon and welcome. Welcome indeed to another edition of the Mark Moses Show podcast here on a hump day in beautiful Central Florida on the coast. And join me right now to kick off the show. We got much to discuss here in the Anidjar and Lavine Accident Attorney Studios. Yes, give them a call today at 1-800-747-FREE. That's 1-800-747-3733. It's my great friend who's joined me for years on the radio, and we do TV together on News 13 in Orlando. Here's my good friend, Mike Tuck. Mike, how you doing today?
I'm great. You cannot say hump day without me going Geico Camels and going, Mike, hump day.
That's what it is. You know what's so funny is I really thought this morning where I was like, all right, Mike's done the radio with me for 4 or 5 years now. And my thought was, all right, we're going to do video now with the show. I'm like, is Mike going to be ready? Yes, Mike's going to be ready. How long have you been doing TV now when you think about your career?
Like with Spectrum, it started in 2018. I think it was January of 2018. I know it was ahead of the Super Bowl because I think that was one of the first topics was NFL playoffs. But like TV spots, like, you know this with your background as well. You get to know the TV people, the ABC, CBS, NBC, Fox people. Even Spectrum, like I was on David Bauman with Spectrum way back 20 years ago, right? You get to know people. Hey, you want to come on and talk about ahead of the Magic game where, we're outside the arena. So that kind of a thing, been doing that for years.
You look very snappy today, and I know why. Okay. Is because you're also, for our viewers and listeners, you're an instructor at the Dan Patrick School of Sportscasting. How long have you been doing that on the campus of Full Sail University?
I started here. It just passed my 6-year anniversary. It was 2019. It was March of 1st of 2019. So it's been an amazing journey. The school now has been open itself. The Dan Patrick School at Full Sail has been open for over 7 years now, and we are just, beyond belief amazed and excited about the success we've had in turning out the future sportscasters of America. Working behind the scenes, in front of the camera, from the podcast world to, individual work and just anything and everything in the world of sports that we're just super excited about. We got most of the country covered. Like we got people in Alaska, we got people everywhere, right? Like, so we got everyone in big markets too. We got somebody in LA, we got somebody in Dallas. So from the tiniest markets to the biggest markets, Mark, we're really pumped about what we're doing here.
You say you started in 2019. Mm-hmm. I know you probably had a curriculum then, and here's how we're going to do stuff in the business. Has it completely changed since you started pretty much 6 years ago, Mike?
Yeah, in fact, I made a couple of tweaks last month. Because we had our spring break. So you have time to go in and nitpick things and take things out, add things in. I'm probably about on the 12th iteration in the last 6 years of what my class is. It's not that it completely changes per se. The basics are there. It's more about the examples. It's more about, as you are going with this, I think the evolution of the industry to try to take into account not all interviews are conducted the same way. I teach advanced interviewing, and I have to account for the way in which, frankly, I'll call him out. Pat McAfee does an interview. He's one of the biggest names in our business. There are a lot of things from a personality standpoint that are hard to replicate. Not to mention he's got the former NFL player tag that will benefit him as well. But there are some things we're trying to make sure that a student understands, hey, you're not going to have his energy. You're not going to have his sports contacts because of what he's done in the past. So you're going to have to make less mistakes that he makes when he does an interview. And so we're constantly bringing and fighting the good fight with what you would say are new media formats in some of the ways in which they cut corners. And even the idea you said about me dressing up, Pat McAfee can get away with wearing a tank top on national television because he's Pat McAfee. And I try to tell them, look, you get your own podcast and you're wildly successful, then you wear what you want to wear, man. But you're trying to, move up in the world, and you got to represent yourself in the way you want to be seen. And not everyone's going to be receptive to somebody wearing a tank top.
I think you want to wear a tank top. I think that's what this is about.
Look,
Have you ever done that before?
Like, I get it. I have not worn a tank top on air ever. No, I've
No,
not gone
you've not.
shirtless on air. I haven't like been interviewed at the beach, like with the gun show out. Like those things haven't happened.
How many years did you do, or how many years have you been in radio covering sports here in the Orlando, radio market?
It's going on a quarter century. I started in 2001. God,
No.
old. Yeah, 2001. I know. I was 6 years old when I started.
You wish.
I
You wish
wish.
you were.
I wish. No, it's been a long time. Like the world has changed so much. That's the thing I think as you get older, is you realize, Mark, like, gosh, like it was so much different. Like I did something, getting into my career a little bit, I did something with EA. It was called EA Game Show, right? And what it was, you'd laugh at today, and is in 2007, 8. It was an interactive app where you could click, get on an app and you go in and you play. It's a 15-question game show, sports topics, and I'm sitting there as the host. I'm reading the question. I'm having fun with it. Listeners, they're typing stuff into a chat box and I'm reacting to what they're saying. I'm reading the answers. And this goes on 15 questions. It's probably like 20, 30 minutes long or whatever. And then you take a brief timeout and then you do another one, right? And this was like cutting edge, 17, 18 years ago. And now it's like that kind of stuff's out there everywhere. We take it for granted, but the world has changed so much in the way we cover sports and the way we talk about them.
The stubbornness in me thinks old school where, okay, you want to find me? I'm on this time slot Monday through Friday. I did 3 to 6 for 11 years here on the coast. And I feel like that's where you should find me. That's the only place to find me. Or, like the Tonight Show with Jay Leno, that's 11:35 Monday through Friday. But now I feel like that's out the door. And I want your thoughts on this. Now you got to be everywhere 24/7. And my brother made this point to me. He goes, people want your thoughts on everything. Like they demand, and I know that's the ego in me. Like the Gators won the title the other night. I posted right away. I can't wait till Monday at 3 p.m. Do you feel like that as a guy that does broadcasting for a living?
Yeah. So I for the second half of my career, our show was a 3 to 6 show like yours. And it was a great advantage. I enjoyed it more because I got to stay up late, sleep in a little bit because you're tired watching a game until 1 o'clock in the morning. But the disadvantage was everyone's already reacted. The morning show, the first people in, they gave you their and so it feels like even though you're recycling some of what they said in your audience. That's where it was incumbent upon me and my radio partner Jerry O'Neill. Like, all right, we got to come up with something other than just the obvious take on this because they've already heard that. They heard that at 6 a.m., at 9 a.m., at noon. So you got to come up with a little bit more. But you're 100% right. And it's not so much that you have to be on 24/7, but you got to make yourself available in certain moments, like you're talking about, hey, the game just ended. I'm going to do a live pod reaction. Luka Doncic just got traded. I'm going to do a live reaction. Like these things that happen that are enormous, to put your thoughts out there immediately. There's value in doing that. But then to always make yourself, like you said, 3 to 6. All right, well, maybe the people that like you don't get a chance to be in the car at that time, right? But when they get in the car the next day, hey, let me pull up on my phone the podcast, plug my phone in, and I'll listen to Mark's show on my way to work. That's where we got to be more readily available to people is understanding that our schedules don't necessarily sync up with other people's schedules.
It's a good point. And I want your thoughts on this. We're such a Netflix, YouTube society now where I want the opinion. I want it now. And I think about a morning show, 6 to 10 So if I start listening at 8:45, I feel like I didn't get your fastball. Your fastball is at 6 a.m. when you're getting those opinions off your chest. So it's funny. I can't even watch the news at 7 a.m. No. I want to hear what I want to hear. I'm not waiting for you. Do you feel like the consumer is now selfish where they want to hear exactly on their time now?
Yeah. And not only do they want to hear it on their time, they want to get to the point, right? That's the thing that cannot be lost on people. I tell people all the time, and you know this with your background, it's a hard lesson to learn, but it's one I know that was preached to me, and it's even more so the case today, is, man, no one wants to care about, you mowing the lawn over the weekend. Like, go on. Like, the first 10 seconds, you better be addressing the Gators national championship win and your thought. Yeah. Like, that's what they came to the table for, right? We have this sense of self-importance in our business, and you see it in other people, right? Like media members that have big egos, and I'm the biggest guy in town and that kind of a thing. And it's like, yeah, you're great. And you know what? The bigger you are, the more pull you'll have, the more leeway you'll have for an audience to go, all right, like, get to your point. But most of us don't have that built-in advantage with everybody. So that's like, God, is he ever going to talk about whatever? And we both know, like, someone could tune in at 3:30, right, for your show, and like, God, why is he not talking about the Gators? And you're like, I talked about him the first 30 minutes, man. Like,
I know. It never, it reminds me of when we used to watch Baseball Tonight on ESPN. So the left side of the screen would show what games are coming up. So I'd sit there and wait. Oh, they're going to talk the White Sox here in 20 minutes. All right, I'll wait. Right. Now I don't have to wait. There are times, I swear, Mike. So I'll wake up and it's like, all right, I'm going to watch CNN, Fox News, whatever. I want to see the headlines. And they're in a commercial break. And I go, screw them. And I'll go to YouTube and watch the clip in real time. Yeah. Do you do that?
Yeah, I think people do. I think we look for that shortcut. It's like YouTube's a great example of this, right? I actually had an online student, I guess I'll describe it as, sent to me a podcast he does. He does like heavy metal, right? Yeah. And you're a music guy, right? So he does these heavy metal podcasts with a partner. They have other jobs, right? This is kind of a venture that they're diving into. He wanted me to analyze his interviewing techniques and stuff. You go to YouTube, right? And on that bottom scroll where you can fast forward, right? It literally says the topic of like the question that they broach, right? Like, so if you wanted to like, oh God, I'm really interested in this, right? They had this guy on, that we don't need to get into this, but he was a bass player for Ozzy Osbourne. And if I just wanted to hear him talk about Ozzy, there it is. I'll listen to these sick, like, it's like the other part of the year might be great. The other part of the show might be great, but you know what? That's what I came to the table for. Give it to me now. I want my 6 minutes and I'm done.
We need to interview your son, who's very small. Okay. I just went to Chicago, saw my brother, and my two nephews are, okay, so they're 9 going on 10. So they're like 9 and 7. And I have another nephew who's 8. This is every little kid now. They got their kid's phone. They got their parents' phone. I mean, they have their own iPad. Then they're going to the Switch. It is like everything is instant. You think we're bad? Wait till your son and all that generation. Wait till they're 25 and how they're going to be consumers. I don't know what's going to happen. Maybe you can explain it to me.
No, man. One of our other course directors here, Debbie, she brought up, she was speaking to somebody, her background, she was a sideline reporter for Nesson. Like she's been with the Red Sox. She's been with the Nationals. Was that Masson, Metro Atlantic? She was talking to a news director about like hiring, right? This speaks to that idea. And this is someone who's a very busy person, right? Like many of us are, because we're being stretched 100 different ways.
Yeah.
He said, when you send me your demo reel, you got 5 seconds.
Oh yeah.
5 seconds. If you don't get my attention in 5 seconds, I got better things to do.
What should I do then? Should I have a live shot and a homeless guy's punching me out? What am I going to do in 5 seconds?
It's not a bad idea. Like I actually had a student who was a graduate a couple of years ago. He's working in Buffalo, New York. And the first thing he sent to me on his updated demo reel he wanted me to look at was him talking about Josh Allen's contract. And he has like money in his hand and he throws the money. He said, if I had like however many more of these, I'd be Josh Allen. It's like, all right, you made me stop and look at you. Yeah. Now I'm absorbed in your content and what you're going to present and how you're going to read and present, like all that, right? But like if it's just like dry out of the gate, it's no different than hosting a radio show, man. You better hook me right away if I'm going to stay for the whole thing.
Okay, so always the thing with program directors for talk radio was, I want to hear 5 straight minutes, and I want to hear you coming out of break, start talking, because it can't be edited with talk radio. I want to hear about 5 minutes. Maybe you're right. Maybe it's I need 10 seconds. Tell me why LeBron is not the GOAT. Maybe you just should show that to me now, Mike. Maybe that's what it is.
No, man, it's a tough world we live in, but it speaks to the importance, though, of building up a positive reputation with an audience and having an audience that enjoys you, because they're going to be the ones that will stick around through some of the nonsensical and the twists and the turns and like, yeah, I'm not a big Magic fan, right? Like you might have somebody over there in the space who's not a big Magic fan, but I'll listen because I like you and you're making the topic interesting to me. And that's the challenge of it all, that, 25 years and we're relearning the craft, right? Like we're going back and reevaluating. And that's in essence what we're trying to do here is the definition for us. And we've discussed this, right? The definition of a sportscaster's changed, right? The traditional one's still out there, but we're now trying to get adults hired into jobs that aren't just the traditional sportscasters. So we got to be aware of the avenues that they need to cross to get there.
Everyone wants to give their take. Like everyone wants to be on.
They all want to be Stephen Smith.
They all want to be Stephen A. Smith. But you know what? You know what's funny? Stephen A. Smith doesn't want to do it. He wants to be a political guy. He's on his podcast. That's what I'm saying. He's on his podcast, and now he's talking. Yeah, he's going to run for president. Just stop it. That's my favorite part. So you're a Colin Cowherd. You're a Stephen A. Smith. You are the top dogs. You're Jim Rome. You are on 300 affiliates. You're on television. Then what are you doing? Well, I'm also on YouTube, my own brand, for 10 minutes. What does that mean then? Right. Is this everyone have to be on YouTube? Is that what this is, Mike?
It is. We speak about it from the outer rings of the planet, right? But the center of the people that are right around the sun are thinking the same thing. Is they're not settling for being the most popular. They're trying to dominate the universe. So, why not if you're them?
Okay, so you host that class you just talked about at Dan Patrick School of Sportscasting on the campus of Full Sail University. I'm giving them the plug. You do it. What is it called? Advanced interviewing?
Advanced interviewing, yeah.
So constantly, every time I'm on with you, I'm thinking, can I pass Mike's course? Can I do it? Can I pass it? I think about that constantly. Or would I fail? You think I could pass the course? Because I know you're critiquing me right now.
I critique everyone. Fair or unfair. I critique my wife when she starts asking me questions. Look, I think here's what I tell, and like we're in the first week of the new curriculum, and what I tell the students and told them today is you're going to admire and like a lot of people out there and find out, gosh, they're not very good at asking questions. They're succeeding, and you succeed for a variety of reasons, right? They're like things you do, the energy you bring to it, the intelligence behind where you're taking somebody with your question. Doesn't mean there are things we can't fix. We can adjust questions. We can be more specific in what we're trying to ask. Most of it's just the work that we put in advance, and that's what we're trying to advantage them with. I tell them, I said, if you follow the fundamentals that we're giving you here, because a lot of people just aren't taught the fundamentals. I wasn't. I mean, frankly, I wasn't. The stuff I teach, I wasn't taught but a smidgen of it. Yeah. And if I would have gotten it much earlier, I would have been much better at this earlier in my career. Instead, I'm learning from what works and what doesn't work, kind of observe and kind of copy that, maybe don't do that kind of a thing. Yeah, like I always tell them, I said, if you apply these concepts, then you're going to be in the top 10% of those that do this. And if you have a great personality, like someone like yourself has, you're going to be at the top of the class immediately.
Okay, here's the two examples. I know you got to go. Appreciate you coming on, Mike. I know you're a busy man. You're trying to get home after, teaching all day. These students of tomorrow. All right, here's an example.
If the 3-year-old could drive himself home, then I wouldn't have this problem. But unfortunately, I have to go get him. Can you believe that?
What a jerk.
He can tell my phone to play PJ Masks, but he can't drive a car.
Boo. Okay, so I'm on the campus of UCF. This was 2016 or 17. So Scott Frost is still the coach. I'm with the athletic communications director at the time. We're at the coach's office. Mm-hmm. And the original plan was he's going to stop by at my broadcast booth. We're going to do 10 minutes. Coach Frost is a great dude, and he's always been nice to me. And he goes, Mark, I'm sorry. I only have a couple minutes. Can you do it right here outside of my office? Not sit down. He's standing there. No problem, coach. Took out a phone, started recording. I had 2 minutes. So no prep. Mm-hmm. What do you want to ask him? I couldn't look at any notes. what do you want to get out of him? Right. And the thing with Coach Frost is, he's not going to go on for 5 minutes with an answer anyway. And that's fine. What are you going to do? The other example would be we had the Gator Club where Coach Napier came here like 2 years ago. And it was me and Tim Walters, the Florida Today. Coach is like, all right, I got about 5 minutes. So we go in one of the back rooms. It was too loud with people talking in the other room. We went into the kitchen of the Holiday Inn in Vieira. We're with Coach. All right, what do you got? Those are my examples for interviewing. You and me can go 3 hours. All right, you got 2 minutes. What do you got?
Yeah, there's a lot of layers to it. But the three things, I'll give you my three keys to being a successful interviewer, right?
Okay, here we go.
There's a lot, but the personality things, if you will, or the skills, you will. Number one, have to be a good listener. You can interview anybody if you have the ability to listen. As I try to relate to them, you go up to the girl at the bar, you don't know her, you got to come up with a first question, and then you just have to listen to their answers and go from there, right? So listening is the most important trait you can have, most important skill you can have. Secondly, and this is what you're talking about, your preparation, your research. It's a big advantage to go on that first date, if you will, with the girl, is if, you have a little background, like you know her friend, and her friend tells you, hey, this is what she likes. This is what, like, it's going to help you, right? You're going to come up with ideas and questions and focuses, if you will. You don't want to think of it that way, but that's, would help you in your preparation. Your knowledge is going to help you in being a better conversationalist. And then lastly, curiosity. And I say curiosity is the tie that binds. If you're curious, you'll be a better listener. You will actually ask a question and care what they have to say. You're not just anxious to spit out what you have to say, but you actually care about what their opinion is. And if you're curious, you're going to do more research. You're going to be better prepared. You're going to be ready for that moment, so that, yes, if you have to put your notes down, you know what you wanted to get done in those cases, Mr. Moses, and you just did it. You just did it.
That was fantastic. The first time I think I went on TV with you, I was like, hey, I'm going to say this. I'm going to take this point. What point are you going to take? And I always remember this. You look at me. You were in a nice suit. We were in the studio there at News 13. You go, I'm not going to tell you. And I go, what?
That sounds like something I would say.
Yeah, I'm not going to tell you. It's going to be a surprise. It'll be. And I was like, this SOB. And I've respected you ever since then. So funny.
The genuineness you get, like, that's the thing. Like I don't know. Like, I know you've done the show by yourself. Have you ever worked with a radio partner before?
Well, you mean? Okay, yes, I have. And
okay.
It's completely different animal.
Right. And so, like, when I was with Jerry O'Neill for all the years I was with Jerry, we would sometimes, start to get in arguments in the office, or something would come up, and it'd be like instantaneous, like that immediate, like, passion you have for something. And we'd be like, all right, stop. We don't want to, the discussion's not going to be the same. Like, we know what we want to talk about. Good. That prep, you'll prep for it. I'll prep for it. We're ready to go. But I don't know I want to have a genuine reaction. I want you to genuinely react to me when we do it.
But the thing with TV is you have to put the video to what you're saying, or it doesn't work. Because I always say this, you can't break down LeBron James and then there's a photo of a bear eating a salmon in the water. It doesn't make sense.
Okay? Maybe it does. Maybe that does make sense. But yeah, no, you're right. Like, that's the difference. And you know this too, right? Like, they'll ask me about doing TV to radio, and I said the difference is, on radio I can just go and go and go. On TV, you have to have 1 or 2 points max and know how you want to present those, and that's it, right? And you have to have it coordinated, right? On radio, I can sort of walk my way through the woods. Like, TV is, you're sprinting to the tree, right? You know exactly where you're going with it.
Well, since we're doing therapy, I do so many interviews, 52 weeks out of the year.
Mm-hmm.
I will be in social settings and I will dictate conversations, and I need to stop. Let other people dictate because I'm like, all right, we'll talk about this. Now let's go to this discussion. No, Mark, you're not on the air, but it's too late for me. It is.
Yeah, it's weird because it depends who you're talking to, right? Like, I'll say this all the time. Like, if I've been out at places and, like, a fan comes up or a listener comes up or whatever, and is like, a lot of times it's like, I'm just going to let you go. I'll determine how I want to react to you or how deep, because I want to know if am I in the kiddies pool, or are we going out like deep sea fishing, right? Like, all right, you can really go after this and I'll give you a little bit. So I'm going to let them dictate most of the time. But yeah, like you get a sense for, all right, I'm going to go now. Let's go.
Yeah, I am. I had questions for you. I am not kidding around. Okay, like I wanted to talk the Magic with you, but let's see him play Boston tonight. His name is Mike Tuck. Yeah, check him out. He does a great job. I know he fills in on 96.9 The Game there in Orlando. He also is on News 13. Heck, TV's all over Central Florida because he's so cool. And if you want more information, shoot him an email, Dan Patrick School of Sportscasting, if you're interested. Mike, thank you so much for coming on. Enjoyed picking up your son, and I'd love to get you on again sometime. All right,
man, it's always a blast talking with you, Mark. And look, I only do that to somebody like yourself because I know you can handle it, and you have proven yourself worthy of not knowing and being able to react genuinely. So that's a credit to you, sir.
And I've listened to every word you said because you said that's the number one rule. Number of the 3 points, you have to listen. Okay, have a great day, Mike. I'll talk to you later. Okay. Bye. Great stuff. Always love talking to Mr. Mike Tuck. He's a great dude, and I've known him for years. Yeah, check him out on Spectrum Sports. They're on News 13. Does a great job. And, yeah, if you want more information on the Dan Patrick School of Sportscasting through Full Sail University, getting into the broadcasting field, shoot him an email. You can contact me. I'll get you in touch with Mike as well. And, yes, we are broadcasting live here on the Anidjar and Lavine Accident Attorney Studios. And, hey, if you get into a car accident, truck accident, slip and fall, here's what I would do. I would call my friends at Anidjar and Lavine. That's Mark Anidjar and Glenn Lavine. They will fight for you and get you the maximum compensation you deserve. Call for a free consultation and don't settle for just any attorney. Demand Anidjar and Lavine. Take back control of your life. Call them today, 1-800-747-FREE. That's 1-800-747-3733. Anidjar and Lavine Accident Attorneys. Don't forget, you can also check out my brand new website, markmoseshow.com, for everything going on with the show. Now, let's switch gears. Did this conversation this morning with my great friend, Chris Graham of the Augusta Free Press. Always love talking to this guy. And we talk about the current state of college basketball coming off a tournament where the championship game on Monday night got 18.1 million viewers. Best TV rating since 2019 for college basketball. Chris does a great job covering the ACC. We talk the current state of the game, his thoughts on the tournament, and looking forward for basketball moving forward. Here's Chris Graham. And joining me right now here on the Mark Moses Show for, I believe it is a hump day, a Wednesday. I had to get him on because he came on when we started the March Madness NCAA tournament. Now we have to do the recap show, how we both lost at our bracket challenge. He is the great Chris Graham with the Augusta Free Press. My man, how you doing today?
Doing great.
Oh, so that's a no then on how your bracket went. Is that what you're saying?
I know, because, we could have just outsmarted ourselves and picked number one seeds. But nobody does that, because if you do that, you get laughed out of the room. So, but this year it would have worked, and nobody did that. I didn't do that.
Here's what I had. I had Florida playing Duke in the title game. I also had Houston in the Final Four, but I thought Michigan State was going to beat Auburn. So I was close.
You were pretty close. Yeah.
I was. I said this yesterday, Gators won it. I said this was a great Final Four. Both semifinal games were great. Title game was great. Then I get home, Chris, and they show the TV ratings, and it was like 18 million people, and all the ratings are up. First time, I believe, since your Virginia Cavaliers, since 2019. All number ones, all big boys. What does that say? As a guy that covers college basketball, what do you think of those TV ratings when you see that?
The ratings are interesting, considering so many folks are out there are saying, I get emails, it feels like every day, from people saying, I'm so tired of this transfer portal and all this stuff. And, you can't feel like you're close to the teams anymore because the teams change every year. And maybe that's the hardcore fans. And the casual fans say, well, there's brand names in this Final Four. I've heard of Duke. I've heard of, these schools. And so But so at least this year it's good news. So we'll see for the future. I mean, I don't know that we're close enough. We're far enough into the NIL transfer portal era for fans to have been turned off like long term from that the roster's overhaul and all this kind of stuff. I mean, it could be that down the road people will be offended at not having some constancy in their teams and that kind of thing. But right now, people are just looking at it and saying, "Good basketball, brand names in the Final Four, and let's go."
I felt like this was one of those tournaments. You bring up NIL. The casual fan knows some of the players. They know these names: Clayton Jr., Cooper Flagg. I think that's good for the state of basketball. And as you know me, I'm very big on, all right, college, then go to the NBA. I think this was good for the state overall of basketball. We have names, and maybe we can get names moving forward on these big boy programs. Do you feel that way?
I mean, you need that, yeah. You need brand names as the teams, just like Major League Baseball loved the fact that it was the LA Dodgers and New York Yankees in the World Series last year, and no offense to it, but the year before it was Arizona Diamondbacks and Texas Rangers. If you have number one seeds in their legit programs, I mean, Florida's now got 3 national championships in the last 20 plus years, 2 back-to-back, and then this one. You got the money programs in there. Houston, even though Houston hadn't been in the Final Four for a while, there are people who remember the Phi Slamma Jamma years. That's a brand name there. So, but then the players too. Now, the player Cooper Flagg's not going to be in college after he's already going to be out of college basketball. So that's an issue. I'm thinking back to the 80s and 90s and even into the 2000s. You'd have guys like Christian Laettner, Shaquille O'Neal playing 2, 3, 4 years of college basketball, and you could either love them or hate them. But Cooper Flagg got a lot of attention this year, and he lived up to it. Janai Broome, same thing, a lot of attention with basketball fans, and he's in the Final Four. So I think that you market around team names, you market around the brands, and then college basketball did a great job creating brands around guys who maybe were only stars this year. I mean, Janai Broome, there were basketball people who knew who Janai Broome was before going into this season, but on the larger scale, maybe he wasn't a name in everybody's living room kind of thing, but he became one this season, and that's what the college basketball, its TV partners, the conferences, the schools themselves need to keep working on. Is okay, they may only be here for a year, but we need to make them stars when they're here.
This is my complaint with the NBA, and I have many, and I'm a guy that loves the NBA. So you look at the draft last year. All right, who are the top picks? Oh, Victor Wembanyama's teammates. They're going to go 1-2 from France. What? Who are these guys? Then you get other guys. Oh, they're in the NBA elite. What is this YMCA league? What are you talking about? I feel like Cooper Flagg's going number 1. People know who Cooper Flagg is. He was at Duke. That's going to make this more interesting. There has to be for the growth of basketball and the strength of it. You got to make sure college basketball is okay, and then those guys transition. I know I keep hammering this like a dead horse. This is very important to me, Chris, and I hope you understand what I'm trying to say.
I do totally. I mean, the NBA, I mean, dating back to the near death of the NBA in the late 70s, it was revived by Larry Bird and Magic Johnson. The legend that grew up around them. They played in that national championship game in '79, and then went to the NBA and took their talents to the Celtics and Lakers, the 2 biggest NBA franchises, and revived the NBA as a result. Michael Jordan played at Carolina. He went to the NBA and into a big market, Chicago. Patrick Ewing at Georgetown goes to a big market in New York, and all those names, and and just go down the list there. All those names were guys that we saw in college for 2 or 3 or 4 years, got to know and appreciate their skills, and then they went to the NBA, and it just blew up from there. It's you're finding talent all over the world, and Victor Wembanyama, we had enough of just a small taste of the highlights. We didn't get to see game action. Nobody watched him game action of him in France and when he was 16, 17 years old. But you know, you knew enough. He's a 7'4" guy who can shoot threes and jump through the roof and everything else. All right, I want to see that guy. But his teammates, I still can't. I can't name them now.
No, I can't either. Okay, this is where I turn into pro America. Okay, so when's the last time an American-born player won the MVP in the NBA? Is it Steph Curry 5 or 6 years ago? That's like blows my mind. Just what are you talking about? Because it's like it's the Joker, Embiid, Giannis Antetokounmpo. They're all Hall of Famers. They're all going to Hall of Fame. We got to make sure American players are winning some of these awards.
But at least Embiid at least played in college. I don't know if he played much because he was hurt there too at Kansas, but there was just a smidge of him in college. But, you know, the other guys, and maybe, I'm just thinking out loud here, the NBA could do a better job using NBA TV to broadcast some of the, the other leagues. And I know there's talk about the NBA perhaps expanding into Europe. The commissioner's office and others up there are talking about, and I don't know how that would work, whether it would be a separate league, whether they would somehow, you wouldn't want to travel back and forth and play, domestically here in the U.S. and have to play games over in France and Spain and UK and that kind of thing. But I mean, having a rival league there, maybe, but yeah, a better job of exposing us to them, because college basketball has done that for us for 80 years. And now we don't get to know these guys. I mean, now Kupo and the Joker and the Luka and those guys. I mean, now we feel like they're our guys. But when they were starting out, we didn't know who they were.
No, we did not. So what I'm trying to say is, I love basketball. I loved this tournament, Chris Graham. I know it helps, and this is why I'm bringing you on today, because I said this to my buddy Alan yesterday, where we both talk Gators. We think it's a great tournament because one of the teams we cover won the championship. This was awesome. As someone, I mean, you cover the ACC. You're not in the state of Florida. Did you think it was a great tournament and exciting to watch overall?
It was. I am one who, I cover a team that for a number of years was a top seed or a top seed contender, Virginia, and they'll be back, in the next couple of years to that level. And so, I appreciate top teams advancing, and I don't, I know we're probably getting ready to talk about how there were very few upsets and certainly no sweet, no Cinderellas who made it very far, even if they, maybe did pull one upset in the first round. But I don't mind that, because to me, I want to see the big boys play. I mean, the schools that have the talent and have the recognition, I want to see them go on and play the games like we saw in the Final Four at the high levels that you see. I mean, none of the top seeds this year. Maybe Auburn, they lost 3 of their last 4, and in the regular season / SEC tournament, they went in wounded, but then they won 4 straight to get to the Final Four. The other top, number 1 seeds, number 2 seeds, even some, the number 3s, nobody went in wounded. They all came in strong. They played strong. I want to see good teams playing in Sweet 16s, Elite 8s, and Final Fours.
I said this, I think once we got to the Sweet 16, I'm like, Cinderellas are dead. They're dead. And I feel bad. I went to a mid-major myself. I want to see David destroy Goliath, but I think it resets. And I want your take, Chris Graham, the Augusta Free Press. I think a mid-major now, moving forward, is going to be the lower-level teams in a Power 5 conference. And this breaks my heart to say, if you are UCF in the Big 12, you are a lower-level team. You are not one of the big boys in the Big 12. You make a run, you win 2 games in the tournament, you're a Cinderella now. I'm trying to think if you'd go ACC. I don't know, like a Boston College? Is a Virginia Tech? Is that a fair? Like, I'm trying to think of the lower-level teams in the ACC. Those are the Cinderellas moving forward.
And I'm not sure even schools, the Virginia Techs, Boston Colleges, can't think of who it would be in like the SEC and Big Ten, but the Northwesterns, perhaps Vanderbilt, but Vanderbilt's been playing well lately. I don't know that they're going to have the NIL resources to compete at the level. The schools that I cover, the program that I cover, the University of Virginia, going through a coaching change, and so going through a big transfer portal upheaval right now, and a reason why you're going to see fewer and fewer Cinderellas in the March Madness going forward is because the big schools with the money are able to poach the good players from those mid-majors that could lead them to some upsets, and they're putting them together and making them into big boy teams. Right now Virginia's gotten 3 transfers in all our double-digit scores. Now, one came from Oklahoma, so that's another big boy school. But then North Dakota State and Toledo, guys who average 17 points a game at those schools. Those when the mid-majors lose that kind of talent to the big boys, it's hard to compete with the big boys. They got to go find another guy and develop that guy. Yeah. And by the time that guy develops, he's going somewhere else to make money. So that's where you're going to lose your Cinderellas going forward.
Hey, you look at the Gators. A perfect example. Clayton was at Iona, and you look at some of these other guys. Martin was at FAU, who made the Final Four 2 years ago. And people are like, "Oh, this is a veteran team." They never played together in the tournament, and they came. It's like it's like you're at the rec league. It's a pickup 5-on-5. Hey, let's go run it, see what we can do, and they won the title. So here's my next question: what did you think of that title game with about 2 minutes to go? I'm still 2 days later. I'm still shocked by what happened.
Well, yeah, the big comeback, getting back in the game against for Florida, get back in the game against the team that Houston. I mean, that's a great defensive team, and they made Florida play their pace just like they made Duke play their pace. I'm a guy that pays attention to pace. I covered Tony Bennett for 15 years. Houston Duke game, Duke had 58 possessions in that game. Duke plays 70 possessions a game, and they had 10 or 12 less possessions to play with. And so Kelvin Sampson did a great job in both those games. If you're going to beat me, you're going to beat me playing my game. I love coaches who can do that. But it was kind of a mirror image in a sense of the way Houston beat Duke was. All right, we're going to play you tough, play you close, and then you're going to make mistakes at the end, and sort of similar. I mean, Florida went out and won the game, so it's not like Duke collapsed. Florida went out and made some plays, but it comes down to 19.7 seconds left. You've got a timeout. You draw up a play, and it's a 2-point game because of the missed free throw. One of the 2 missed free throws left the door open for Houston to either go for the tie or go for the win. The TV announcers are screaming, go, set up a shot and you can either, go inside, get in the paint, get a shot to tie the game, or if they take that away, kick it back out. Florida, give them credit against the team that is known for its defense. Florida totally defends that possession as well as you can ever defense a last second possession. Houston never got the ball inside of the 3-point line in that possession. Incredible defense. Set up there and played there, executed there. Houston was trying to set screens and get guys open, and they just couldn't do anything. I've never that's again, I covered Tony Bennett for 15 years. I appreciate great defense in these kind of situations. That's masterclass great defense in a championship situation.
So the last 2 possessions, Kelvin Sampson said it's going to keep them up at night because they didn't get a shot off. The season's on the line. Championship game. You didn't even get it. Throw the ball up in the air. See what happens. Don't get a shot off. Okay, here's my question for you. And for our viewers, listeners. Yeah, this is Chris Scram of the Augusta Free Press. He has written books on basketball. Okay, books. Not a tweet, not a blog. He's written full-page books on this. All right, you're down 2 points. I thought coaching 101 is get a shot up as quickly as you can. So if you miss, at least you can maybe get a rebound. Now, I get, hey, maybe you get to about 8 seconds, take the shot. Because if you hit it, tie game, Florida will get a possession to end the game. If it's tied, then you go down to the end of the clock and get your shot. Isn't that basketball 101 in that situation?
It felt, to a degree, I don't know that Houston, though, was trying to bleed clock. I think it was just the pressure defense, the on-ball pressure defense at the top, took away any ability. Now, it didn't look like to me I've only watched the play the one time. I didn't go back and watch it several times after, like I sometimes would, especially if it was Virginia.
I did. I'll
You
put
did.
my hand up. I did. I
You did,
I
okay.
watched it 5 times now. I'm still in shock.
So my memory of it, though, is I was expecting what Houston would do would be to set up a high screen. I mean, typical basketball play, a high screen. So bring one of your bigs out past the 3-point line, run your point guard by him, and then that starts your action. It's not necessarily that's your whole play, but that starts your action. At least get your point guard a little bit of space. Maybe he finds a guy open off the pass. He has the ability to penetrate the lane and kick out or get a shot himself or the roller. I mean, that's what I was expecting. Florida, to their credit, did not even allow that to happen. The dribbler was funneled over to the side in front of the bench. Was double teamed there. A great hard hedge on the screen there defensively. A screener for Houston was so confused. The center ran over and tried to set another screen after the ball handler picked the ball up. So he clogged the area up even more. Again, it was just great defense. So I don't know that Houston was trying to bleed clock and get the last shot. I think Florida forced them into that.
All right, that is your official statement.
I've been
waiting 48 hours to get your statement on this. I know you saw the play in real time. The Gators did not score a field goal in the last 2 minutes. Neither did Houston. How did the Gators take the lead with 2 minutes to go? They hit 3 free throw shots. So in theory, I know this is where John Shire is swearing in his car right now. So with 2 minutes to go, here's what the Gators did and what Duke did not do. Gators hit their free throws, 3 out of 4 with the game on the line. They understood how to beat a full court press. They understand how to inbounds the ball. And I mean, these are, I've been saying this for 2 days. These are things they teach you when you start playing organized basketball, like 6th, 7th, 8th grade. How do we break the press? Hit your free throws. And what you said, play defense. That's how when you look at Duke, are they just going to eat themselves alive that they blew that game with 30 seconds to go?
Well, they blew it in the last 10 minutes too, though. They only made 1 field goal in the last 10-18 of that game.
How? How is that possible?
Yeah, the 3-pointer by Cooper Flagg, I think it was 3:17 to go on the clock, that put them up 9. So even though for 7 minutes they hadn't made a field goal, they make a 3 and they're up 9. So they were playing good defense too for that long stretch. But yeah, the basics and John Shire and Duke had gone. I mean, to say that a group went all in on a season, they went all in on this season. There was a story in the Wall Street Journal about all the dark money in Duke basketball that went out and bought this great team. But not only bought the team, Shire had been the subject of criticism for in big games, his inability maybe to draw up the winning play and, the mental aspect of being able to win close games. And so they went out and they hired and used all season long these mental health, sports psychologists, counselors to work with their guys. But an issue for Duke, an obvious one was they played a 20-game plus the ACC tournament, so 23-game ACC schedule, and really were only they lost the 1 game to Clemson. Similar situation. They had a chance to win the game at the end. Cooper Flagg, in that case, fell down and bounced the ball off his leg, and they turned it over and lost the game. They had a couple early season games, I think Kansas and Kentucky, but the ACC schedule. So after about December 20th, they beat everybody like a drum. Now, there was 1 close game in the ACC tournament without Cooper Flagg. They beat Carolina without Cooper Flagg in a close game. But when they were at full strength, they were never challenged. And so, I'm kind of reminded of that UNLV team that was undefeated back in the early 90s, had, run through everybody, beat everybody by 20 points. They get down to Duke in the Final Four and don't know what to do because they've never been in that situation. Right. Duke was in the same situation this year.
That's a great point. So who did UNLV play that year? What conference were they even in? And look,
West Coast Conference or whatever that was at the time, Western Athletic Conference. And the ACC this year was pretty similar. I mean, Duke ran through the ACC tournament without Cooper Flagg.
Yeah,
they beat Carolina and beat the heck out of Louisville in the final. Beat the heck out of them without Cooper Flagg. So you don't get challenged. You don't have to win close games during the season. You don't have practice winning close games. You will do things like inbound the ball to the wrong guy. You'll miss 1-and-1s. You'll foul on the missed 1-and-1 rebound and miss the shot at the end. They set the play for Cooper Flagg. That's the play you want. You want the ball in the number 1 pick's hands. He backed his guy down, missed a little 8-foot shot.
Why do you see? Okay, so my good friend Coach Billy Mims, who has over 600 wins in European basketball and Division II basketball, he goes, this was his thoughts on Monday on this show. I will quote him. Games on the line, seasons on the line. Why are you taking a fadeaway shot from 8 feet away? Get to the rim, at least you can get a foul. I know he had a look. Don't go with a fadeaway on that shot. I know. Look, it's bang, bang. I get it. Don't take a fadeaway in that situation.
Well, but it was an 8-foot, and he faded a little bit, but he had a clean look. He just pulled he pulled the string. I mean, that shot he's made a million times in his lifetime.
You know when he didn't, though? He missed it there. I'm a hater.
Yeah, and I don't know, though, that Flagg is the kind of guy that's going to attack the rim quite that well, especially, I mean, he had his guy, he sealed him off, and they cleared it. There's no excuse. He got the shot that he wanted. He just missed the shot. And
I just want to clarify this with Chris Graham. UNLV, who did they have? Larry Johnson, Greg Anthony, Stacey Augmon, 3 NBA players. Okay, yeah. They were a loaded team. But you know what it is? And I want your thoughts. So you're absolutely right. Duke was not tested the whole year. They weren't ready to be in that buzzsaw with Houston. Gators were. You look at a tournament run. So you go the UConn game. You can go some of the Maryland game, the Texas Tech game, the Auburn game. They were the only team built to beat Houston's buzzsaw on defense. They're the only, and that's what happened in the tournament. That was the difference. Okay, and I'm going to bring this up with you. So when you look at Phil Jackson, you got to read this one book from him where it's the final season. So he chronicles the Kobe and Shaq Lakers and the year with the year they lose to Detroit in the 2004 finals. And they're, you know, and Kobe's flying to Colorado with the court case and Shaq's being, you know, like a baby after a while. He brings up in that book, there'd be games in December and January where the team is bored, and he would put them in bad situations on purpose to see how they would do in those. So they're like, oh, yeah, we got some random game in San Antonio. We're up 10. I'm going to put a terrible lineup out there and just see how they do. You've got to, I can't believe I'm going to say this. Like, if you're John Shire moving forward, yeah, you better put yourself in these situations to be ready for March Madness. Is that fair, Chris, when you look at it?
And, you know, the last ACC national champion is the school that I cover, University of Virginia, 2019. That year, the ACC had 3 number 1 seeds. You know, that was, That's Virginia, right. Carolina, and Duke, number 1 seeds. And so as a result, not only, so all 3 of those teams had been battle tested all year long. The ACC had 9 or 10 teams out of their, at that point, 14, I think it was, that were in the tournament. Up and down, the ACC is great. You play tough games all season long. UVA gets in the tournament that year. They're down 14 in the first round, come back and win by 15. The second game, I think Virginia led that one against Oklahoma pretty much all the way. The Sweet 16 game, Oregon was another one that was a tight game.
That's right.
Virginia won that one. Obviously, we remember. A lot of folks will remember the Purdue game. The shot that tied it at the buzzer went to overtime and won. The 3 free throws in against Auburn with less than a second to go from Kyle Guy. Overtime win over Texas Tech. They had been winning games like that all season long, though, because they had practice in those situations, so that was not new. UNLV 1991, Duke 2025. When you win, when you're so good that you win, by 20 points without really breaking a sweat, you're not going to. When Virginia's in a season where they're a national contender, there are games where the fan base, because fan bases do this, wow, that was an unusually tough game against Boston College or Notre Dame. That's a bad thing. We only won that one. We had to win it in the end. I write about those games and say, this is the kind of game you need to win in January or February so that you can win those games in March. And you're right. And I think the ACC is going to be better. So it's not going to be that, John Shire has to put himself in those situations and going forward. But and the SEC this year was so good. So many teams were at a top level that you had to play those games night in and night out. You get to March, you've done this 100 times. This is not going to scare you.
There are a bunch of teams in the ACC with very deep pockets, and I think they saw the SEC and go, what the hell is this? Even at Chapel Hill, North Carolina, that is an embarrassment. They barely made the tournament. You're North Carolina. What are you doing? Like, I'm sorry. You can't be that bad moving forward. You can't. You're a blue blood for a reason.
Well, and they're spending money. You know, they brought a GM in, so they're trying to do some different things, bring an NBA front office approach to it. Virginia's got a new coach. They're spending a lot more money. I know that from covering UVA on a daily basis. They're spending a lot more money in NIL. They're going to be competitive just because of the new coach, the new style of play, and then the guys they're bringing in. Looking at some of the other schools in the ACC, I mean, Syracuse probably, they went with the right-hand man of the longtime guy, Jim Boeheim. Hadn't been working out. There's a coaching brain drain in the ACC. Duke got it right with John Shire. The jury's still out at Carolina with Hubert Davis replacing Roy Williams. I like Ryan Odom replacing Tony Bennett at Virginia, but he's not coached a game yet and won't for several months. Those were the three schools that have been the teams of the last 10 years of the ACC. So, Syracuse is a name. Louisville built something out of nothing this year with 10 transfers, but all those guys are gone. So he's going to have to do it again. Pat Kelsey. But he did a great job in year one. Louisville's a blue blood in the ACC. So, the ACC will be back. It's going to take some time. But I think you'll see 4 or 5 schools that are up there, at least somewhat competitive with Duke going forward, but not like the SEC, at least for the next couple of years.
Here's what's funny. So I'm here with Chris Graham, Augusta Free Press. I'll let you go. I always love talking sports with you. I asked you before we came on, hey, you want to preview WrestleMania? And you go, it's not even this weekend. It's 2 weekends from now.
Yeah.
What? So when was the Royal Rumble in January? And they're just, oh my, what are they doing?
We've been getting used to either the late March or early April. Because the last few years it was the same weekend as the Final Four. Yeah. And so, and that was actually fun because I'd have 2 TVs going on Saturday night. And then Sunday it was their night. And, I didn't even think about that until you asked me. Like, yeah, it's still 2 weeks away. And it's not like aren't they in Vegas this year? So it's not like they're in a cold weather city where they have to wait it out. They did New York in March outdoors in the Giants and Jets stadium. So that's I don't know what they're doing.
All right. Here's what we should do. I know your wife watches this. She's a very nice lady. Okay. I think we should bet on it. I know that's the stupidest thing. Like, seriously, I know you could do sports betting on something that is a fixed ending. This is so easy to call. I think we should, even if we just bet $5. Here's what we're going to do. Since we have to figure this out, I'm together the card.
Okay.
You will come back on. We will make our picks.
Okay.
And I think this is going to be the easiest picks ever. Because I hate this card, and I love the WWE. I think it's a terrible 2-night event. I'm sorry. I'll be watching. How about we do that? Come back and right before Mania, we'll do it.
That'll be good. Give me a chance to study. Yeah, like you said, this is pretty easy to do. It's like watching an episode of Raw. There are no surprises, but maybe we'll find the one surprise. So let's do it. Let's do it.
All right. His name's Chris Graham, Augusta Free Press. But man, thanks for your help and have a great day. Is April 19th and 20th, I believe. Yeah. It hasn't happened yet. It's ridiculous. We'll find out, and we'll break it down as we get closer to that. Today's only April 9th, by the way. And yes, we are broadcasting here from the Anidjar and Lavine Accident Attorney Studios. Take back control of your life. Call them today, 1-800-747-FREE. That's 1-800-747-3733. I saw this on the Twitter, the X, whatever you want to call it, and I'll wrap this up. Orlando Magic Daily with Phil Brossenreich. He just he posts this as tonight the Orlando Magic are going to take on the Boston Celtics. They won last night by, what was it, 7? Yeah, about 6 or 7 points against Atlanta. They win tonight against Boston at home, their regular season home finale with 3 games to go. They win tonight. They wrap up the 7th seed going to the play-in tournament if they win. Orlando Magic Daily is reporting in this hour that Jason Tatum, Drew Holiday, Porzingis, Derek White, Al Horford are all out tonight for the Celtics. Jaylen Brown remains questionable. They want to lose this game so the Magic get the 7th seed and then probably take on the Magic in the first round of the playoffs. There you go. All right. For Mike Tuck, Chris Graham, I'm Mark Moses. Have a great day, and I'll talk to you tomorrow right here on the Mark Moses Show.